Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 12 of the Chao Garden Podcast. This is part 2 of the Chao Garden Awards, and this episode is going to focus on our top 5 games of 2024. Last episode was the category awards, so specific categories that we wanted to do. So check that out if you guys would like to. We have Russ back, we have Ivan back, and we do have a new guest that was in my old podcast but is new to the Chao Garden, and is my good friend Brittany or Skrillerwolf. Brittany, how are you doing?
I am pretty good.
Doing good. All right. Yeah, so we're just gonna talk about games. Real quick, parameters of the list. While I chose games that only came out in 2024, I know that not everyone has time to play games that release in the same year or just want to play games that are in the backlog. So I did not make that a requirement for anyone else here, and I never make that requirement. So it wasn't a requirement last year. It is not a requirement next year, so it's always going to be like that. So, and I will always say it at the beginning of each one because someone might ask. But if there's a game that did not release last year or in 2024 that they mention, that is why. And we are going to keep going with the category awards in terms of the order. So it is going to be clockwise in terms of the overlay. So Russ will be going first, then it is going to be Brittany, and then Ivan, and then it will be me to finish it up. So we're going to start with our number 5. Russ, what do you have? What do you have for number 5?
I'm fairly certain my number 5 is going to be on your list. But my number 5 is Sonic and Shadow Generations. I really liked it. The only thing that made it not higher on my list is that the Sonic part was the same. It was just Sonic Generations again, which is a very good game. But I kind of didn't feel the need to fully complete it like I did with Generations before. But the Shadow part was really, really good. I had a lot of fun with it. I felt a little bit of it was too open. Some of the collectibles were kind of a pain to get, and some of them I just didn't even care to go for. I was going to platinum it, but then when I was trying to get S ranks, I was getting so frustrated. I kind of just said, no, I'm not doing that.
You just stopped.
Yeah. I was getting so mad to the point where I didn't want to ruin my like of the game. So I figured I should just stop there for now. I'll go back and do more of it, but I had other things I wanted to play. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool. Anyone else here play Sonic Shadow Generations? Was it just me and Russ? Okay, so all right, I'll talk a little bit about it then. Sonic Shadow Generations is really good. I feel very similarly to you in that it's a bit of a bummer that they didn't do anything to Sonic Generations aside from, I think, resolution and frame rate. I mean, they added the
There
chat.
were a couple scene. There were scene changes.
Oh yeah. They new voiceovers with some of the characters, which I do like for the better. It never really made sense to me that Tails didn't recognize the place that was killing his home. Oh, this place looks familiar. So them changing stuff to be more in line to actually acknowledge the stages is really good in my opinion. And music in Shadow Generations I think is phenomenal. I'll talk a little bit more specifics later, but yeah. Oh, the Chao that they added in each stage. I wish they did something, but it was really cool to see them added. I wonder if they go ahead.
They need to stop being cowards and just add the Chao Garden already because everybody wants it.
Yeah, I wonder because there's a lot of Chao in that they just made new models of. So I kind of wonder if they did it as a test for something, but who knows? We'll see. But the hidden Chao were really cool. I did replay the level so I could get the Chao, and I've always said it. I've always said Sonic Generations is just too short. One stage per game is not what it should be. But I'll talk more about I'll talk more about it later. Brittany, what's your number 5?
Real quick, I have one Sonic related question. Did they
Yes.
do any movie tie-in stuff in Shadow X Generations?
Yeah, they have I think it released the day that the movie came out. They have a stage for movie Shadow. It's like $3 or $4. I haven't played it. I've seen people play it. The stage itself, from what I hear, is really good. Keanu does voice him,
Oh
but
wow.
when they were mixing the audio for it, or I don't know what happened in the booth, uh his execution apparently is not good at
Ugh.
all,
Thanks.
which am I Brittany, you saw Sonic 3?
I did.
Okay, so it was just me and you that saw it. He was really good at Shadow, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was awesome. And yeah, I did hear some voice clips from the game, and it sounded really bad. It was really weird. So I don't know what happened there, but in terms of the stage's quality in itself, I do hear it's really good. I just haven't played it myself yet. I don't know if you have, Russ.
Mm-mm.
Hopefully it's
I
like
was waiting to see the
fun
movie
bad.
first.
Hopefully it's fun bad voice acting.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's just like shit. I think it's fun. It's funny, from what I heard. It's just really weird that happened. But it's cool. It's cool that they added it. There was a stage specifically for him. I think it was Tokyo.
That's cool.
I think that's what it was. So yeah.
Gotcha.
What
Anyways,
what do you have on your number 5?
so my number 5 is Firewatch, which I had not played prior. It's really short, and I don't really know why like I hadn't played it prior, but we played it with a group of friends, and it was really cool. It wasn't quite what I expected. It I kind of I mean it's a walking sim, but it's also like there's like puzzle elements to it in terms of like the story. You're kind of trying to figure out why you as the main character are out in the wilderness by yourself, and um there's like little twists in it without like spoiling too much. You kind of like unravel the story, and there's like additional kind of shady stuff happening in the forest in which you are fire watching. And as you play, you discover like kind of like what is going on. And there, I would say it even ends on like you can kind of interpret, I guess, like what happened differently. um but it's really cool. It's a really pretty game. The music in it is really, really good. I think it's mainly like guitar music. The music kind of reminds me of Outer Wilds soundtrack, where it's just very like cozy, makes you feel like you're like camping in the woods style vibe to it. So it's really cool. It's an indie game. I think the people who head the studio are like well known in the gaming industry. They're supposed to be working on another project, but they haven't said anything else much on it for a long time. So I hope they release another game because I really liked Firewatch, and I would like to see more stuff in a similar style to it.
Yeah, I actually just got Firewatch because it was like $1, $2 on Steam during the last sale, but I haven't booted it up yet. So it's good that it's in your it's in your top 5. I'm looking forward to playing it. When I saw it, I the first thing that came to my head was Outer Wilds.
Yeah, it's they're not even comparable in terms of like how they actually play, and even I would say like yeah, but because like Outer Wilds is much more like physics based in terms of its like puzzles and stuff, but they still both have this like grounded story element of like you don't find out what's going on in the story unless you like are willing to go walk around and look around and kind of like pick things up on your own, I guess, more so than like most games would have. But I will say I don't like it as much as Outer Wilds. Maybe hot take, I don't know. Probably not. I feel like Outer Wilds is like an exceptional game and
I,
piece of media in general. But Firewatch is still really, really good. And if you like Outer Wilds, I think this is like the closest thing you can get in terms of like vibe and color palette, and even like it's got like a nice cell shaded look, kind of like Outer Wilds has as well. But this copy of Firewatch is actually one of the first games I ever bought off of Limited Run. This is Limited Run number 32.
Oh,
So I've had this since I was in high school, and I remember opening it and planning to play it, and then I didn't. And we had some friends come over, and they were like, What's a game that we can beat in like a day? We only have like a day left to spend with you guys." And I was like, "Well, shoot, let's boot up Firewatch." So we booted it up, and everybody seemed to really like it. We're all taking turns like playing and trying to guess what was going to happen next, and trying to see what the main character's like motives were for going out and being by himself.
awesome. Yeah, I do want to play it, and I know Outer Wilds is an all timer for you. I need to play Outer Wilds still, but I've wanted to for a while, so maybe this year I'll finally get to Outer Wilds. But I do want to get to Firewatch first since I just got it.
It's also so short. Like I think it can probably be beat in like maximum it would take you is maybe 2 hours.
Okay. All right. Nice. Yeah. Anyone else here play Firewatch?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. 2 hours, not bad. And you were okay. Cool. I'm surprised how much you were able to give without spoiling anything from it.
Yeah, it's hard because again, most of it is like story, but yeah, it's like Outer Wilds, but also not at all like Outer Wilds.
Yeah, it's just the vibes kind of.
Yeah, definitely the vibes.
Yeah, it just like just seeing the icon art, just I was like, oh, that kind of reminds me of it. Cool.
Yeah. If you play Outer Wilds, play the DLC as well.
I will. I've had it on my radar for a while, and I think I just need to do it. That and Stanley Parable are in the list of two games that I've looked at and I've just stared at, and I haven't started them.
Do you have Stanley Parable already?
Yeah, I have Stanley Parable. I don't have Outer Wilds, but I have Stanley.
I was gonna wait. On what system?
PlayStation.
5?
Yeah.
Is
the
it the
Ultra Deluxe?
Oh, you bought it?
No, it was a PS Plus game.
Oh, okay. I was just
Yeah.
asking because I saw it for a PS Plus subscription game like yesterday.
Yep. So that's what
I decided to download it because I want to play it.
Yeah, I'm debating on seeing if Ty will nominate it for for book club because we're on Dave
It's
the
very good.
We're on Dave the Diver right now. You played it already, Russ?
Yeah, I played it when it first came out on PS3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Nice. Would you replay it for book club?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It scratches that Portal itch that I have.
Okay, I was either gonna do that or Astrobot as the game I was gonna nominate, and I feel like Ty would rather choose Stanley because it's free right now. But yeah, we'll talk about. Yeah, I'll see if what I decide to nominate for that. But cool. All right, so Firewatch and Sonic. So Ivan, what do you have as your number 5? You're my wild card. I have no idea what you I have no idea what you could have here.
I was flip flopping through a lot of the games, but I decided I'll put I had to put Buckshot Roulette as my number 5 because I was trying to think of many games that I played this year, and I'm like, a lot of the games I kind of replayed already. Like, I wanted to say Inscription, but it's because I kept playing Casey's mod for like 20 hours to fully beat it, and so I was like infatuated with that for a while. But then moved on to Buckshot Roulette because I also kind of scratched that itch of like me just wanting to continuously play. A very simple game. I played it when the multiplayer started to come out, and I found it pretty fun because I like the whole vibe of it. I like the one song that only plays. Again, it's a very very small simple game, and I just enjoyed it for the time that it had.
Yeah, so with Bugshot, I've heard of it. I haven't gotten a chance to play it at all. Has anyone else played it?
I've wanted to so bad, but I haven't. I'm actually going to buy it now because it's really cheap.
Oh, okay. Okay, okay. There, Russ is gonna join you on that. Brittany, have you tried it all?
I'm in the same camp where I actually for the store I work at, we were recording our like tops of 2024, and
Oh,
that was I think two different people's like picks for game, and I had never heard of it up until then, but it's
oh.
one that I've heard very good things about.
So I've heard of it, but I've actively never seen gameplay of it. So how would you describe it, Ivan? Because I've never seen it at all. I've seen
Um,
like the character, and I see the shotgun.
so
I've seen dice, I think.
so the game is essentially Russian roulette, but with a shotgun.
Okay.
And what they did was they made that concept of Russian roulette based on a shotgun. And they make it interesting in the sense that you have items that you can use and consume that can turn the tides for you for the better, but it all no, regardless has to revolve around the fact that the shotgun is like Russian roulette. And so an example is there are 6 shells in there. It'll show you for a brief second which shells are blank and which shells are live. um It'll tell you in a certain order, and so you better hope to remember that order. And you can only do that if you decide to shoot, like pull the trigger, whether on yourself or on the opponent, or use your items to help figure out what that shotgun shell is.
Okay.
So it's it's pretty suspenseful, but when you're playing with friends, it's really funny because everyone is just trying to figure out how to go about which shell is which. And so it goes to like a thing of like, okay, you're either gonna heavily turn this over to my favor, or I'm just gonna screw up because I lost track of what the track was. Um, Again, it's really cheap. It's super fun with friends. It's up to 4 people. The rounds are pretty short.
Okay. Cool. I'll probably check it out at some point. But hey, Russ is getting it now. So maybe next time we record, Russ will talk about playing it.
I'll probably try it after this.
Okay. Cool. All right. So my number 5, excuse me, my number 5 is also Sonic Shadow Generations. So yeah, I decided to make it my number 5. I've been waiting for a story like this for so dang long. I touched on it a little bit last episode, and seriously, Shadow Story just means a lot to me. I love this stupid journal that they added for the physical copies, and the handwriting, and it gets harder and harder to read it as the journal goes on. And the first day that I got it, I immediately just opened the journal. For those that don't know, this is Gerald Robotnik's journal and diary of just writing down the days of starting the experiments, seeing everything go wrong, seeing Maria get taken from him. It's crazy. Like there's this is like exactly like what he wrote after Maria died, because he just went insane, and he's like, it's just crazy. So it's just going through it, seeing them dive more into the animal experiments that they did to create the ultimate life form to look for the cure for eternity. They had let's see if I can get it. They had the image of Maria with the lizard, and then you turn the pages and you find out that her lizard was turned into the bio lizard, which is crazy because like it's insane that he took her little lizard pet to do that. Also, some really weird reveals. One of these is Eggman's dad, apparently. I don't know who it is. It's one of them. They revealed that. They think they revealed that Maria has a sister in here, or at least it's heavily speculated that she has a sister. So there's a lot that they added that just means a lot to me. And the shadow power-ups are really cool in his story. The Doom powers, I mean. My biggest complaint is that it was too short, just like Sonic Generations, and it felt like they wanted it to be longer. It was split up with 2 stages, a boss, 2 stages, and a boss. But after that, it was 1 stage, and then a boss, and then I think another stage, and then 1 boss. So I think they wanted to make it longer, but it was either budget or they ran out of time or something happened. But they stopped doing 2 acts. It was just a 1 act or 1 stage, boss, final stage, final boss. So
I wish they would have just done Shadow Generations and it just be the Shadow part and kind of omit the Sonic part, or make the Sonic part DLC or something. I wish there was more Shadow stuff than what there was.
Yeah. And what the Shadow stuff that was there was really good. Like all the animated cutscenes were super high quality. Seeing Shadow's perspective in Sonic Generations, there's that fight with Shadow, and you see that whole perspective. And I thought it was weird how they were gonna make, because Sonic won. I thought it was really weird to see. I was really interested to see how they were gonna do it. Oh my god, I never even talked to you about it. This is like the first thing you see after the first level, so I'm not considering it a spoiler anymore. The fake emerald that he finds on the Ark, like that's awesome. Like that's such a like small thing from Adventure 2 that you do not need to bring back, and they brought it back and they tie it to the story later. And I won't say what that is because that one I will consider spoiler because it is like in the middle of Shadow Generations, but they tie that into something, and that's really really cool to see. And
I consider Adventure 2 to be one of my all-time favorite games. Like that's in my top 5 of all time. And I think it's really cool that Shadow Generations brought back a lot of stuff from that game.
Yeah, it is. It's so good. They're just not afraid to. This is the most confident I've felt Sega has been in a while, because they're like, ooh, we can't touch Sonic 06 or Shadow the Hedgehog with a 10-foot pole, and Black Doom is not on the cover, but he is actually, yeah, he's back here. So like they went back to Black Doom, which was crazy, and they fleshed out Shadow's story, which is really cool. And the music is awesome. We saw in Dark Beginnings the vocal track Without You that made it into the full game. And it's just a really good experience, and I can't say enough about how cool it is. If it was longer, it would probably be in my top 3. I think it was just too short, but
Is it like a Miles Morales situation where like when they released the PS5 version, they put the original Spider-Man game on there, and then like Miles Morales was its own thing, but like it's a game, but it's like this little tiny thing. Is that what Shadow is essentially?
Yeah, I'd compare it more to did you ever get 3D World on Switch?
No. Oh yeah, because Bowser's Fury.
Bowser's Fury
that was like
is its own like mini campaign.
2 hours long, I think.
It's a few. It's like it's probably about the same length as Shadow Generations. Actually, it's like 4 hours, 5 hours long. So well, when I first played this, probably around then, you could probably beat it really fast, just like the main game. But it's exactly like that. It's like a Miles Morales situation, except it is all in one disc, so it is more like 3D World and Bowser's Fury. To the menu, like in 3D World, you see the 3D World main menu, and you click a button, and it just swaps to Bowser's Fury. It is exactly like that in this. It's the main menu, Sonic Generations. You click a button, and it's Shadow Generations. Which
when they announced it, I was under the impression it was a Generations game, but it was just Shadow. Like I thought it was a brand new Generations game.
That's what I thought it was at first too.
Yeah, no. So it's a side. It's a smaller thing. Which
what a tease, Sega! What a tease!
But hey, they're testing the waters with it. I'm hoping I would love them to have another go at a shadow specific game.
They're gonna do a Big the Cat game.
Please, please, I need it.
As long as it's not all from adventure, just not that gameplay.
Not
Make
that
something
game.
a little more interesting.
Yeah.
It's a fishing game.
Oh
At least make
man.
it interesting.
Yeah. Like yeah, there's just I'm really hopeful for what they can do with Sonic's next project.
I mean, it'd be great. They could remaster Adventure 1
Yeah.
and 2
Oh,
and just bring it to modern consoles. Because right now they're so expensive on old gen hardware, and plus you gotta have
Mhm.
old gen hardware.
yeah. Yeah. And then the Steam ports don't work well
Yeah,
at
I've
all.
heard that those are
I'm
really
not
optimized. I think the Dreamcast port is supposed to be the best, but you would have to have a Dreamcast.
yeah. The best way to play Sonic Adventure modernly, I guess, would be Steam and getting the better Sonic Adventure mod, which is just a mod loader that fixes the port. That's basically all it is. And then for Sonic Adventure 2, Dolphin. That's it. That's literally it. It is borderline impossible to play on Steam. Sonic Adventure 2 currently. I loaded it up.
Sad.
I could not. So
I just bought it during the Steam sale too.
it's if you need help with Dolphin, I can help you out. That's the best. That's the best way to do it. Literally, that's just the best way to play Sonic Adventure 2 right now, which is sad.
Yeah.
But hey, hopefully they do remaster at some point.
Did they port Shadow the Hedgehog to Steam?
No.
Oh man.
If you want to do Shadow the Hedgehog, that's gonna also have to be the Dolphin.
I think the game's relatively cheap though. I don't think it's terribly expensive.
Are you talking
if
about
you-
physically?
Yeah.
Oh, it's over $100 last time I checked.
Is it really?
No way.
Yeah, the shop that I worked at, it at least got pretty dang close to $100.
That's crazy. I need to.
I think that was on GameCube though, but it might be cheaper on Xbox and PS2.
I have
Oh
my.
my god. It is 114 currently on price charting for
Really?
a complete copy on GameCube. Yeah.
I have it right there. I have it right there.
That's $100 back there.
maybe I'll dig it out and replay it. No, I won't. No, I won't. But
You can
It
replay
just
the
had a
opening.
spike.
You can replay the opening intro
maybe I'll yeah. Yeah.
and
I'll
then
play
just turn it off after.
Exactly. Yeah. That was my guilty pleasure game, so maybe I'll boot it up. I boot it up every like other year and play a few stages. But
I actually think it's fun.
shout out to Ivan though. He fixed my GameCube laser, so now I can play my games again. I have a copy of Radiant Dawn that I snagged from someone. So I can say this because no one can find me. I think no one at work can find me. There was a lady who was gonna do a trade, but she wasn't getting enough from it. GameStop for not Radiant Dawn, Path of Radiance, and I went on my break and just paid her and got it for
Heck yeah.
for 100.
Heck yeah.
So I have Path of Radiance. It's not complete. It's just the disc, unfortunately, but it's Path of Radiance. I didn't think I'd ever get a copy of that game. But yeah, Sonic Shadow Generation is awesome. So I highly recommend it. We have Sonic Racing Cross Worlds next, and then I think we are getting an announcement of the next 3D Sonic game. I think it's gonna happen. I think it's hilarious that they're finally releasing a Sonic racing game after so long, and it might potentially bring back the I'm blanking now on what the rider's gear is. The hoverboards are called the something gear. The hoverboards from riders. You can see one like
Wave gear?
Is it wave gear?
I think it's wave gear.
Okay, you could see one of them covered in cloth in the Crossworlds trailer. I think it's jets that you can see, and so people are theorizing that it's coming back. I think it's hilarious that they're finally doing something like that, and it's the same year that we're probably getting a new Mario Kart. See, I can't catch a break.
Sega has a wonderful knack for just being like, we're gonna release this at the same time as Mario.
Yeah, I felt I saw. I was like, man, that sucks. But oh well.
They don't have their '90s edge anymore. They can't do that.
Yeah. All right.
Well, good for them. I'll buy both.
Yeah, me too. So, we got to number 4 now. Russ, what do you have for number 4?
Mine is a remaster of an old game that came out last year. It's Shadows of the Damned Hella Remastered.
Okay.
I think the cover looks like shit.
Yeah.
But I think
so
the game
dark.
is very good. It is, but Garcia, the guy in the middle, is like in 720p when the rest of it is in 1080. It's like slightly blurry and it really bugs me.
I'm gonna have to look at that. I just picked
But
it up.
this game is super fun. It's a third-person shooter where you're going into hell to save your girlfriend, and your weapon is called the boner, and it's very sexual. Like there's a lot of sexual jokes in it. The game is a Suda51 game, so it's funny. The bosses are all really fun. I think the weapons are super satisfying. Like every time you shoot the gun, it feels very. The best way I could describe it is the bullets feel thick.
Okay.
Like you feel the impact of the bullets when you shoot. It's one of the only times in a game where I don't like latch onto one gun and only use that gun. I like all of them in this. It's pretty short. I want to say the game is only like 10 hours maybe.
Okay.
I platinumed it in less than a week.
Oh wow.
I was very happy to find out this remaster was a thing, and I got it day one, and I'm very happy I did. It's very fun.
Awesome. Bryn, did you just say you picked it up?
Yeah, I just recently picked it up.
Okay, cool. You haven't started yet?
I have not started it yet. I do have a question though. You said the feedback on the guns is cool. Does the PS5 remote have pretty good feedback for that too?
If I'm being honest, I do not remember it having the adaptive triggers on it, but
It didn't have
could
any.
just be that I don't remember.
feedback?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong because I don't notice it half the time. Oh yeah, according to the back, it does have it.
I always think that's kind of cool. Like when I played The Last of Us Remastered, I thought it was cool how all the guns and things feel different to shoot just slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it did the thing where like some guns will be like harder to pull the trigger, and I want to say the one machine gun, you can feel it like wiggle when you shoot with it.
Yeah. I like it when they do that with the games. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart did that, where you can like partially press it down for a shot, and if you fully press it out, it like shoots the rest of the shells. Yeah. So when games do that, it's really cool. But I gotta check it out.
I also just noticed that the developers of that game, publisher, is the same one that did Marvel Rivals.
Oh,
It's NetEase.
NetEase?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Brittany, what's your number 4? What do you have?
I have not beaten this, admittedly, but my 4 is Silent Hill 2. Again, I have not beaten it. I have probably not even played like a quarter of it. But I like it a lot. I really liked the original Silent Hill for how like intuitive it felt as like a PS1 game. And I've heard Silent Hill 2 and 3, I think people go back and forth is like, oh, this is like the best Silent Hill. And like playing it feels like the perfect follow-up to that original Silent Hill experience. I like the atmosphere of Silent Hill in general. I think it's cool. It doesn't. I think some games do rely on a lot of like jump scare type stuff, but Silent Hill has a really like there's definitely jump scares, but I think for the most part, like what it does is it relies on just a sense of unease, like when you're going around places. I like the over the shoulder view. I'm more accustomed to that, just being used to modern games. So I like that. I think it feels good. I think like even though there's not fixed camera angles, like you still it still feels like you're locked into certain spaces and you're meant to look at things from certain angles. Like I noticed that in certain scenes, enemies will be obscured just slightly, so you can't use your controller and kind of like move your camera to look around to try to see them in advance. Like you physically have to like move your character in order to either interact with an area or like see it. So I think despite that camera change, they still have that same general atmosphere. I think the puzzles are good. I read that the puzzles are changed from the original Silent Hill 2, which I think is perfect in my opinion. Because obviously, if somebody played the original Silent Hill 2 and then they're gonna go pick up this one, I don't think they want it to be a play-by-play experience. So changing the puzzles, I think, is cool. They feel perfectly in line again. At least when I played the first Silent Hill, they feel perfectly in line with that, and I do like the quality of life improvements that they added to that, where like it's easier to find things because a little icon will pop up and tell you can pick something up, because in the original Silent Hill, I definitely had to use a guide. Um and maybe I'm just like a baby gamer, you know. I my brain is small, so I'm just like looking around, I'm not going to figure this out. Like I'll either know if I'm going to figure something out or I won't. Like I think there's a piano puzzle in the first Silent Hill and I was like there's no chance in hell I would have ever like sat down and been like, "Oh yeah, I know piano music now. I'm just gonna be able to figure this out on the fly." So this one so far, I've only had to use a guide once, and it was because the hints that they gave for the puzzle, I was just kind of misinterpreting what it wanted me to grab from them. But for the most part, I haven't had to use a guide, and I think it's thanks to, again, like objects are kind of like shiny, so you can like see them a little bit more apparently. Because obviously, Silent Hill is like kind of dark, so it's just kind of hard to see some stuff. So I like the quality of life. The other quality of life improvement I think is the combat is different than the original second one. I know it's definitely different than Silent Hill 1, cuz Silent Hill 1 you can fight back, but it just feels horrible. And I know that's kind of the intent, cuz he's when you play as a Silent Hill character, you're supposed to feel like underpowered and you're supposed to feel weak, as opposed to like Resident Evil where like, you know, it's a scale for Resident Evil. There's like Resident Evil 1 where you feel like a weakling baby, and then there's Resident Evil 5 where you can punch through rocks. So it's like a sliding scale. But I like I like to be somewhere, like if I'm playing something scary, I like to feel like between weakling and like just regular person. And I think this does a good job because you can like dodge enemies if they're about to strike you. You can hit them like with a melee attack and stuff. And you can't kill them. They get up and they'll come back at you, which adds for like that sort of scary factor. So even if you think something is downed, if you wait around too long, it will eventually get back up and then just come bother you. The voice acting is really good. Animation is good. The environments and stuff look really good. Um, I These are just like some side notes. They have kind of less to do with the game experience, but I think it's really impressive that it's coming out of a studio who uh hasn't really made anything super notable, and the stuff that they have made has been very mixed reception. And to come out of the park like swinging on such an esteemed game to remake, and then not only just to remake it but to do it so well, especially when there's such mixed reception for the initial trailer, is really impressive. So kudos to the studio. And then the last 2 points is that I think it's a great entry point to anybody getting into Silent Hill, especially since the series has been so dormant for so long. Again, I think it's faithful to the original, and the good thing about the original Silent Hill 2 is I don't think you necessarily need to play Silent Hill 1 in order to jump in and understand what's going on with the story. You can just kind of jump in and experience it. And the last thing is that, again, as a big fan of physical media, the original Silent Hill 2 is really freaking expensive, or the ports on PS3 that are affordable, I've heard are crap. Like I think they change elements in them that are just non-favorable and people don't typically like it. But the original Silent Hill 2 on PS2, where most people prefer to play it, is like almost a $200 game. So you don't have to pay that. You can pay $70, and I think this is actually longer than the original. It adds additional cutscenes and fills in additional story elements that the original did not. So yeah, overall, I think Silent Hill 2 is impressive to see, like, again, a studio who kind of really just pushed themselves and made this really stellar port, and I'm enjoying it a lot. I think again, I'd have to review it differently against the original once I play it, but if, I played the original Silent Hill and then playing Silent Hill 2, like I consider this like a worthy successor or sequel.
Nice. Yeah, this one was tied as my backlog game of the year. I have it. I really do want to play it. I just haven't been able to. It looks like it's something that'll be right up my alley. Uh, Aside from now, the longest conversation I had about this game was with a guest at GameStop who was trading it in, and he said because it was too much. It was too much for him.
Oh, it's too scary.
Yeah, it was too much for him, so he traded it in. I was like, dang. That's the first. That's the first time that
I'm gonna be honest. I just feel like after playing PT and Alien Isolation, I don't think that there are scarier games out there.
that
Like, there's stuff with more jump scare. Like, I think the only thing that may get me more than those two is maybe Outlast. I think Outlast may, like, make me poop myself or something, like, compared to. But Silent Hill 2, I'm, like, playing it. And I think it's because you can fight back, like, a little bit to some degree, and you can kind of hear the enemies when they're moving. But I'm only 5 hours in, so I'm just saying this from, like, my 5 hours of experience, but I don't know, something about playing like Alien Isolation or PT with headphones alone by yourself in a room, like that just evokes like raw fear.
I'm so excited for Russ to finally play Alien Isolation. I saw that in your 25, and I was like,
Yeah.
ooh.
Play it with headphones and then turn on the feature that will track your audio in the room.
So I started it and I saw that option. I'm like, I don't know if I can even play that with that option on. Maybe
No.
I'll do that as a second playthrough in the future. Like before the second one comes out, I'll replay it.
I think on PS4 they had a feature where you could actually turn on the camera and the camera would track your body movement too. So if you like breathed wrong or if you were like like the alien would be like, "Hey, what's up?"
That's crazy. Yeah, Silent Hill 2, I do want to play it. I do want to play it, so we'll see. I'm stuck between a few different games, but I'll get to it. Ivan is next.
Let me make sure.
You're number 4.
Number 4. Where did I put that? Sorry, give me one moment.
No, you're all good. You're all good.
Okay, this is a game where I'm not sure if you have physically. I'd be surprised if you did. Helldivers 2.
No, Helldivers 2, I do not. So
Version.
I'll sit back down. I only have it digitally.
Yeah, I know there's a physical version because I keep seeing it everywhere, and I've been tempted to get one for myself, but I'm okay for now. But the game is really fun. I have still yet to replay it again after a while, but from the time that I played it last year, I still find it pretty enjoyable. I really, really enjoyed the entire aesthetics of the game. It makes you feel like you're super involved into like the battlefield. Like I don't know what it is about, but maybe it's like how everything just feels so dynamic. Where you feel like you're just kind of getting lost in the game, and you kind of like you're just I don't know something about it just makes it feel so enthralling. And I just loved how everything just felt like there was always it always felt I think the thing I was trying to say was it feels like every single thing you're trying to do feels like a cinematic.
Yeah, it
which I
does.
think is really, really great for a game to do, and I feel like that's insanely difficult to pull that off. And so like in regards to the aesthetics, I think it's amazing. It feels amazing. I enjoy some of the missions for the most part, but whenever I'm playing with friends, that's when it gets pretty fun. There have been countless times where we're always arguing with each other, being like, "Who the hell put that airstrike down?" And then we just kill like 2 of our friends by mistake. sometimes I will be doing that by mistake because I keep forgetting the amount of damage I can cause
Or
from
the mines,
um no there's a specific word for them. What are they called? They're called
the orbital.
they're like the it's like that overall system. I just call them airstrikes.
Oh yeah, yeah. The shortcuts that you have to do them.
Yeah, like but there's a specific word for it.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on it. Um, but those are always super fun to use, and I just love the way that it's not just like you pulling out something from your inventory. You have to actually input the command, and so sometimes I would easily remember how to go about sending like I think the one thing I always had to remember to do is revive. That was the one I can do by heart because I always had to constantly keep reviving my friends. Um, I forget what they're called, and I hate that I'm blanking out. But that game is super fun, and I really want to play it again. I just have to get a good group going on to see if they're interested.
Yeah, I really like how that is really fun. I think I'm in the camp where I think other people like it more than I do, but I think it is one of the funniest games I've ever played. Just
They're
being with
called stratagems.
stratagems. Cool.
Stratagems.
It's one of the funniest games I've ever played. It's hilarious when I get on with people.
I love the panic when you're trying to run away and input a stratagem. Like when I play on PlayStation, so I have to like
I
use
also
my
play on
left hand
PlayStation.
over the R1 button, and use my left hand to press the button so I can move while I'm trying to put the buttons
Yeah.
or the commands in.
Or yeah, it's hilarious, and it's hard. It's hard. That's the point of it. That's what makes it funny and fun. But yeah, I'll probably play it once in a while. I'm in the same boat as you, where I'd like to play more, but I just don't. I just don't.
It's mostly because I've still been trying to beat other games.
Yeah.
And there are other games that I still play actively for multiplayer, which is Phasmophobia.
Oh.
Because I love how scary that game is. I love the vibes. I love the gameplay loop. We're not talking about that game now, but that's one of the reasons why I keep forgetting to play Helldivers.
Okay. Brittany, have you guys just try Helldivers?
Helldivers in my next one up, my number 3.
Oh, okay. Do you want to talk about it for a little bit right now?
Sure, yeah. If once we get to number 3, do I talk or should I just do it now?
Up to you. If you want to jump in, like if there's something you want to say right now, you can go for it. But if you want to talk about it when you get to number 3, you can talk about it when you get to number 3. I don't know if you hearing us talk about it is making you just want to say something.
I think like I'm not big on multiplayer games in general, but to add on to what Ivan was saying about it being cinematic, I think the particle effects in that game are like easily like some of the most visually like if you want a game that feels next gen, like that feels like a PS5 or that feels like a pushing PC game, like Helldivers is like a prime example, which is just like insane. When you look at the past Helldivers, like Helldivers 1, and then you look at this Helldivers, it's like it's crazy because I think it was built with like a pretty small team comparatively to a lot of other like bigger games that have come out. But yeah, just the particle effects and the explosions and the blast, like when you blast aliens and they like explode into little bits and stuff, you just see like every little ounce of detail just go all over the screen, and everything looks like it could just be a cutscene, but it's not. Like it feels next gen. Like I feel like for this latest gen there hasn't been a whole ton of games where I'm like, oh, like wow, like this looks next gen. Like there's been some remake stuff that's impressive, again, Last of Us, but it doesn't feel next gen, whereas this is like wow, like this feels like it's actually pushing the hardware in terms of just how much is happening on screen. You have explosion after explosion, you got robot bits flying everywhere, you got your mecha exploding, you got your friend exploding to the right of you. Like there's just so much happening. It's just impressive like to see it all rendered and that the game engine is like capable of taking it and just while also having other players like simultaneously in the same space.
Yeah, I think you're perfectly on the spot with that, on the dot, because uh the particle effects are really impressive. It does feel like the next step on what games should be doing. There's very few games that are doing that, and that one is one of them.
For sure.
I also agree with the sentiment where you felt like this truly did feel like a next gen game, because it could be that I have been primarily playing a lot of games that are like a PS4 game, but that's just sent over to the PS5, or they have like a PS5 upgrade. But like this one felt like it was like destiny to be on PS5.
Yeah, like it feels like okay, you would put this on PS4 and it's like the frames are going to drop and this is going to
You
chug.
would
Like
not get, yeah.
Your
it would
PS4
just it would run
shoot up into
horrible.
space.
Yeah, it would explode. It would shoot up into space and then they would take it to Itachi and say, "Hey, can you fix this?"
No.
No, we don't do that.
Yeah. No, we don't do that. Oh, I cannot. Oh my god, you're gonna get me started, Brittany, because oh my god. I had someone do that yesterday with the Switch. You fix Joy-Con drift? No! Get out!
Go call Nintendo.
Yeah. Cool. Alright, so I think I'm at my number 4, right? So my number 4,
Yeah.
I am gonna say very, very little about it because I know it's gonna come up near the end. So I will just show it. It is Persona 3 Reload is my number 4. So very good remake. My opinion is the best way to play this game. I don't care if the answer is DLC. I don't care if the lighting is too bright at times for people. I think this is the best way to play this game. I love the characters, I love the cast, I love the music, and I'll say more specifics and have an actual conversation about it later. Unless anyone wants to say something immediately.
Oh, hold off.
Okay. All right. So,
I
yeah.
haven't played it, but the music is boppy.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very, very good. All right, cool. Russ, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is the one that I did not know if there was a physical for, and I just Googled it, and I am very upset that I don't own it.
Ah.
My number 3 is Dredge.
Okay.
So I love like the H.P. Lovecraft Cthulhu aesthetic of stuff, and this game was very much that. I didn't know if I'd like it going into it because it's basically a fishing game, but it's not. It doesn't feel like a fishing game. I really like the story of it. Oh, there's a special edition.
He's like, oh man, you're about to take your wallet out.
Yeah. I love the art style of it. I thought the gameplay was super fun to play. It felt satisfying to try to like maneuver the fish in your boat so you can carry as much as possible. I like that like Tetris aspect of it. I wish there was more to it. I know there's a DLC, but I did not get it because at the time I was trying to beat more games at the end of the year, and I was like, I have to move on. I can't keep playing this. It had a little bit of the effect that another game on my list has, so I don't want to spoil that yet. But yeah, I really liked it. I liked that the art. I thought the music was good too. I liked how it was very creepy, and it was very unsettling to be out at night. You're supposed to only fish during the day, and then at night, like you would hallucinate and stuff because it's like creepy and you can't see what's out there. And I thought it was a really neat like H.P. Lovecraft touch to it.
Nice. I have very, very little knowledge about Dredge, except for the fact that I'm sorry if I knew you wanted it physically, I would have told you. I saw it on my pre-order stand at GameStop for the longest time. I remember seeing it. So, oh man, if I knew, I would have
Yeah,
told you.
I didn't know. I played it when it was only physical, so it looks like when it was only digital.
Yeah.
I played it close to when it came out. I do see that it's still available on Target though.
Hey, you get a double dip?
There's a decent chance because I am known to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. But yeah, I didn't know that that's the type of game Dredge was, so it's really cool to know about it. All right, Brittany, number 3, Helldivers 2. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention about it that we didn't get to talk about?
Let me see. I actually wrote notes.
Yeah, I don't want to. I know I put you on the spot last time when we were talking about it.
So I think I again mentioned I don't like multiplayer games. I think
Yeah.
one of the more appealing factors to this is that it's like co-op, which is fun. The person who ultimately like convinced me to download it is a friend that I also played Destiny with, which also just those type of games are just not my style of game. I used to be really into World of Warcraft, and then I was really into Overwatch, and then besides those, I'm just maybe Little Big Planet as well, but like I'm much more of a single player style gamer. But yeah, Helldivers is really cool. I ended up picking up because one, um, it's a smaller Sony project, and usually if smaller Sony projects don't get love, Sony's like, okay, time to close the whole studio down. We're gonna throw the whole thing away. So I was just like, I'll go give it some love, and then also that again, this friend who I've played multiplayer stuff with before got it. So I jumped on, and yeah, it's just a blast. I haven't played a whole ton of it, to be honest, but like the few times that I have played, it's been again visually just like a feast for the eyes, just to see. But also, no like two games feel the same ever. Like I think there was one time that we ended up just standing on top of an enemy building, and uh he kept spawning in a mech because I don't have all these abilities, but he spawned in a mech, and so we just kept spawning the mech in, and then like blowing up enemies and blowing up stuff. And then in another run we were like in a jungle and doing stuff, and he's like, hey Skriller, check this out. And I was like, what? And then he dropped the mech on me and killed me, and I was like, thanks.
Uh
So like again, there's like the mech, there's like little turrets, there's guns, there's all these different stratagems and things that you can do in the game, and it makes for like different runs, and you can have different strategies, or you can just be an absolute like bonehead and just kill your friends, and it's just like equally as fun and equally as much of a good time.
nice. Awesome. Uh were you gonna say something, Russ?
No.
Okay, sorry. Ivan, what do you have at number 3?
This one, I know you for sure have a copy.
Let me go get it, maybe.
This is also the one where you still haven't invited me either.
Uh-oh.
You know which one it is.
Called out.
Maybe.
Where is Super Mario Party Jamboree?
Uh-oh. I have it there. I showed it last episode. People remember what the box art looks like. It's a little hard to get right now.
Super Mario Party Jamboree. There you go. There's the cover.
Yeah.
I think it's a really fun game. I 100%ed through the whole game, so I've done all the story. I've unlocked everything that I know of. I was thinking to do 100%, but some of these achievements, I don't know if I want to do. So maybe another time. But from the time that I played Jamboree with multiplayer, I've played the classic mode and the pro mode, and the story. Like I think it's a really great game. I find it really fun. I love all the new mini games. The boards flow really nicely. And I like how they're branching off more with Mario Party. And in the sense of the pro mode, not a lot of people go super competitive with Mario Party, but sometimes I'm like, I wanna game real hard. I wanna up the stakes for Mario Party. Let's make it tougher on ourselves rather than just like making it self-inflicted rules. Um, so I don't really the promo's not obviously perfect, but I think it's great. Um, I find both of them to be fun, and so if I don't want to go on pro, there's always the classic one. I love the variety of characters. Um, it was just a fun game. Like it was just a really fun game. I don't know what else more to say of it. The reason why I put this over Helldivers is just because I have way more hours into this than I do in Helldivers.
Yeah, I agree. This game's awesome. This game's goated. The boards are awesome. I don't think there's a single board. I know we talked about the last one. There's not a single board that I actively like groan about when I play it. I actually haven't played it myself in a while. And I want to get back to it, and we do need to play it together. With how much
I
we've played Mario Party in general.
I will say, even though I was critical of some boards last time, I do agree with you on that. Where I don't really groan at any one of these boards. Where I'm like, ugh,
Yeah.
why this board? Like, what game does that to me for Mario Party? Um,
I love 5, but 5 does it to me.
4, I don't like the boo board. I do not like the boo board.
I'll do it to any board on 4. I'll do to you know how I feel about 4. I'll do to any board on that one.
4 is so good. The mini games are the best.
The mini games are good. I think the board play so boring. I think my biggest critic for Jamboree, I guess, I do groan on some of the mini games. Some of the games like, oh man, why this one?
I will say I am critical of some mini games they've changed.
Okay.
There's a Mario Party 1 mini game that there's a mini game in there that was from Mario Party 1 originally, where it's like platform peril. I think that's what
Oh,
it's called.
and they changed it to
And then they
coins.
changed that to a coin mini game, and I don't like that. Like, I don't know. Like, the platforming's so much easier.
Yeah, you'd be
I don't know,
surprised. You'd be surprised how many people don't do well in it though.
Yeah, but like this, I just remember the first game's mini game. That one felt super hard.
Yeah, well, that was also an N64 platforming sucked for Mario Party.
That is true, but it's just I was hoping for that same type of experience, but then they changed it to a coin mini game. I don't really
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I there's also some old Mario Party 1, 2, and 3 mini games that are shown in Mario's Jamboree thing that I really like, but I wish they sped up Shy Guy Says. It feels so slow.
I don't know if I feel the same. I don't really tell a difference. I had to play it.
feels so slow. Like it felt like I was waiting more than 5 or 10 seconds for him to even so any indication of the flag. And I look back at the old ones, and like when it first starts off, like it's reasonably paced, and then it gets a lot faster. But the animations they do for the Jamboree version, I just feel like take forever. Obviously, it's not actually taking forever, but like
Yeah.
it feels like it's padding out a lot of time, and I'm like, this feels like such a slow mini game.
Yeah.
And it's just from me comparing the two, like when I see them.
When you see them. Yeah.
And because I've played there's 2 different versions of Shy Guy Says. I think there's one where Shy Guy's like on the barrels, and then one where he's floating on a balloon. I've played both of those versions, and then the superstar ones, and then this one.
Okay.
I just think this one. I don't really like how sluggish this feels.
Yeah. It's really mean. The Shy Guy Says is really mean though. It like it hits it twice like almost immediately.
You know what I've never seen before? I've never seen Shy Guy go right, left, and then immediately right again.
And it does. It's mean. It's meaner. So, but Jamboree is just really good. I really really like Jamboree. It almost made my top 5. It almost
It
did.
made my top 5 because I didn't play that many games.
But
It was a lot of replaying. Hopefully this year will be that.
oh man, that's a whole different conversation. I got almost a game a month right now. I got Xenoblade and Split Fiction in March. I have Expedition 33 in April. That game looks so good. I'm scared, a little scared about the performance in that, but oh my god, I've been so excited for that game. I got Doom in May. I think the Switch 2 is coming out in June, so if that's actually happening, oh my god. But that's a whole other conversation. This year's looking really nice.
I just have so many games like I gotta write down a list for that for myself.
Yeah. See, hey, the 25 in 2025 that we're doing. That would be that's a good way to keep track of it. That's how I'm keeping track of my games that I'm trying to beat right now.
Mm-hmm. I'll probably do that right now while I'm typing.
All right. Is it my number 3?
Yes.
Okay. I won't talk much about this one because I'm pretty sure it's gonna be higher up for someone else.
Oh, you do it to
But
me.
no, I don't think it's gonna be you. I don't think it's you.
Oh.
So just to preface, now that we're my top 3, my top, like, as weird of a year it was for the gaming industry, my top 3 games I adore. I adore these games. These games are really, really good, and it honestly depends how I'm feeling in the day, which one is higher than the other. I just decided to make this one number 3, almost on a whim, just because like these three are so close to each other. At my number 3, I have Astrobot. Astrobot, my number 3.
What?
It is such a good game. It is a goated game. One of the best platformers I've ever played. It just makes you feel good. It just makes you feel nice. Like that. That's the best way I can describe this game. It makes you feel good. Uh, as close to Galaxy 3 as you can get. And I know people say that all the time, but that's really what it is. Just in terms of its
better.
concept. I wouldn't go that far. But that well, now you guys know whose has it higher and why I'm not going to talk about it as much. But it's really good. I think there's potential for the next game to be even better than this one. Just really good. The PlayStation theme levels at the end of each one. I'm not that my favorite one. I would probably consider to be a spoiler, so I won't talk about it. Because I don't want to ruin. I don't want to ruin that surprise for others. It's so good. It's so good. But I'll leave it at that so that I can have a conversation with Brittany about it when she talks about it.
I'm surprised you don't have that as your number 2. I expected it to be either 2 or 1.
I think the last game I beat out for the number 2 spot.
Okay.
But it's so good. And then we'll probably talk about it at the same time when we get to it. Russ, what do you have for number 2?
My number 2 is a kind of out of left field one. I don't think I even talked about that I played this. But it's Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon.
Oh, okay. I saw you. I saw you on it like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I put a lot of time into this game. I like mech stuff, like Gundam and stuff like that, and you feel like you're piling in a Gundam. And when you start to get good with this game, it feels really good. Like you feel like you're actually controlling the unit, the AC unit.
Mm-hmm.
I love how customizable it is. So the first playthrough I did, I played as Samus. I made the AC look like Samus. The second playthrough, I did. I think I did Samus for both playthroughs.
Oh, okay.
The third playthrough, though, I did Gamma from Sonic Adventure, and I was even using like rockets on my shoulders that looked like the ones that he would use. It looked very similar to Gamma. I have a picture of it. I'll send.
Yeah, you gotta send me. You gotta send it to me because that's so cool.
The game is a From Software game, which I am known to not do good with.
Mm-hmm.
I usually do not beat them, and I give up on them because I don't like difficulty. But I never found this game to be hard. There was like 2 missions in the game that actually pissed me off, but I was able to eventually cheese my way through them. The story was really good. I liked how easily it was for me to get attached to characters without ever seeing a human. So when you in all the cutscenes, it's basically just like an intercom where you'll see like the logo of the person talking, and it'll just be a conversation that way. You never see a person. You don't know what you look like. You don't know what anybody looks like, but I still have a favorite character in it. There's a crap ton of weapons to use. It can be adapted to like any play style, and what I like is you're never forced into something. So you have guns for your hands, and then you also have your shoulder guns. They could be mixed and matched however you want. There's different play styles for all of them. I basically used the same 2 or 4 weapons the whole time. I was using 2 pistols and 2 like shoulder. They're called stun needle launchers. It basically just fires a big lightning bolt, and it does a lot of damage. And it does that thing like where you've seen like movies or video games where you see the hit and then you hear the hit. It's doing that constantly, so it feels like super satisfying to use that. Um, but yeah, the story was really good, and I'm sad there's not more of it. I think this is the first Armored Core I've ever played. I think, from my understanding, that they usually do like a semicolon of the game too, so they'll like make like a sub version of it. I'm afraid to go back to the older games because I think, from what I understand, this game has a lot better controls. I saw the controls for Armored Core 1, and they are, for lack of a better word, psychotic.
Yeah.
I don't. Not having 2 joysticks because on the PS1
Yeah,
is
yeah.
kind of crazy. It almost has like a weird tank control kind of thing on PS1 where like moving forward and then moving left and right also moves the camera.
Yeah.
And with you trying to play in 360 degrees, or I guess 3 dimensions, where you have to go up, down, and look around, it's way too hard. I don't even want to attempt going back to it. I might try 5 because I think it's similar to 6, but I'm not quite sure yet.
Yeah. I've heard so many good things about Armored Core 6, and I'm too intimidated to try it.
It's not that bad. It was very easy for me to jump in. The first couple of missions were like, okay, this is kind of confusing, but it's not bad at all. The one thing that I would not have known had I not played this game on somebody's recommendation, they told me, you have to play it 3 times. So you don't get the full story until you play it 3 times. And it does not tell you that.
Oh.
I even through like the second playthrough, it just starts you off, and then at some point you hit a path where like this didn't happen before. So that there'll be like little branching paths of different story missions.
Oh.
And the other nice thing too is you have to buy all of the weapons after you unlock them, but you can sell them for the same amount that you bought them for.
Oh.
So
okay.
you never lose money. So you can just try stuff. You don't like it, sell it.
Yeah.
So it was very like, it's a very forgiving game for a Souls game.
That's good.
Well, it's not a Souls game, but
Yeah, from
software.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Nice. Brittany, what's your number 2? Astrobot. Okay, now I can talk about it.
Yeah, Astrobot. I don't even think I was going to pick it up day one, and then I like did some reading and again found out that it was Japan Studios, like a subset. I think a lot of people don't understand. Japan Studios was like really big, and they spun off into a bunch of little divisions. And I think like the very tail end of Japan Studios, they made like Gravity Rush 2 and Knack and Last Guardian and stuff. But this is like one of the little subsects of Japan Studios that Sony decided to keep, spin into Team Asobi, and then they had them make Astrobot VR Mission, Astrobot Playroom, and then this. So I was like, you know, I want to support them because I feel like no matter what iteration of Japan Studios is working on something, it's always really creative.
Yeah.
Like The Last Guardian was one of the games that I really really liked last gen because of how unique it was, even though it wasn't necessarily the most fun thing to play. Um, so Astrobot I picked up, and I'm not a big 3D platformer. Like I just like Mario Odyssey came out and I played it and I had an okay time with it, and I then quickly put it on the shelf and didn't go for the collectibles, didn't go for like hidden areas or anything. I picked it up, played it, and then I was done. And that's kind of like most of my experience. Like Mario 64 is kind of like that for me. I played a little bit and then I put it back. It's not a genre that really like I gravitate towards. But Astrobot is just it's a lot of fun. It's really like forgiving, but also like the challenge stages make you want to break your controller in half. But they're fun, and I think the fun aspect of it is again like all the little Sony references are just right up my alley because I was always anticipating like what's the next bot I'm gonna find. I think I ended up being able to guess every single bot except for like 20 total. Um, Again, the game looks great. I would even argue that this is another one of those games that feels next gen just because of how many particles and things are on screen at once. Um, One of my favorite things to do was just to spin around and make everything fly up in the air as Astrobot. The music is great. I've caught myself like just at work, just like humming levels from Astrobot, and my husband like had a blast with it too. We would pass off the controller from level to level. So I would do first playthrough, he would do second, like to clean up all the collectibles. And I think it's cool that they give you an option to like pay to like assist you with the collectibles, but it's again it's all optional, so you don't even necessarily have to use it if you don't want to and you want the challenge of trying to find everything for yourself. Um the controller usage is by far like the best case for the DualShock 5 existence. Like the monkey power up where you actually have to swing the control. I thought that was fun. I know some people
Yeah.
don't like gyro controls, but I was like, this is so non-invasive to me. I'm having a blast with this. I love that. I love the little glider. I love just how much feedback you have when you use different power-ups and abilities. I think all the power-ups and abilities are pretty well-rounded, even though I'm definitely better at using some rather than others. It's just like a really, really fun and solid platformer, and I think it rounds out uh PlayStation's library right now. I think it's one of the best standout games where it so much of the PS4 generation, and don't like again, favorite kind of game, right, is my third person story action game, right, which is everything that Sony makes, I feel like from PS4 onwards. But for PS5 it feels like we're really lacking that last Guardian, or that like really experimental kind of like quirky fun game that like kids can play and adults can play and everybody can play. And I think Astrobot is like the perfect thing to kind of round out Sony's library, and I'm happy to see that like it's gotten so much love, and that it's gotten some attention on some of these older franchises that Sony has just kind of left around. I think it's the perfect game for their like anniversary to celebrate, PlayStation being around for so long. And you can just tell that I feel like the developers had a lot of fun making it and animating the little characters and making the little animals, instead the little astro animals move around. And there's just it feels like it was like lovingly crafted. It doesn't feel like a weird attempt at a live service or a weird attempt at a quadruple A game. It's it was something that was made with love by developers, and I feel like that's the reason why like people like it so much, is that it was lovingly crafted and you can feel all of the love that was put into it and all the fun flowing ideas that people had to put into the power-ups and the controls and the little things to discover in the game.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, minus well, I'm already big on 3D platformers. I love 3D platformers, so it was already up my alley. So it makes me really happy that it got you to really enjoy it. I agree with everything you said. The music is fantastic. The game itself is really good. I know some people were saying that, oh, it's nostalgia bait. Oh, people only like it because of all the references. No, there is so much more to this game than just references. And everything I'm about to say right now involves the references, but it's also not necessarily just tied to them. But like the gotcha machine that they have, where you get the items to interact with the other characters or the other bots, it's really, really cool. And yes, they are tied to other series important to PlayStation history. Yes, it makes me feel very, very good when I interact with them. But those are things that if the bots were generic or they had more original designs, they could have still added some of those type of things and just been homages, or just completely different, and it still would have just been cool to add. All the customization, all the costumes that you can do with Astrobot is really cool. Getting all the puzzle pieces, the challenge stages, that a lot of people, I think, were in the same boat as you, Brittany, where they don't really like platformers, but they gave Astrobot a chance, and that the challenge stages kicked a lot of people's asses, and there was
It's just
one.
it's such a huge difficulty spike, which I'm happy it's there because
Yeah,
like the game is not like overwhelmingly hard. So I
no.
feel like some of the people who like real difficult stuff, like they needed something there, but it's just like you cruise through everything and then you go to the challenge levels and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I need to like beat the game before I go and do this.
There's one specific challenge level that I got, that I had trouble with, and a lot of people had trouble with, like the fire one. I beat that one like my second attempt, which made me very happy. I had trouble with the rhythm one, which pissed me off because I am more normally good with the rhythm, and that one really really annoyed me. But uh yeah, the game's really good. I like how each level feels big because of how many bots there are to collect, but in actuality, if you just go straight through the levels are really short, but each level feels big, and that's what's really cool about each one, I guess. Only thing I can say that in terms of like something that I think they can work on, or something that I would like to see in the next one, is as much as I loved all the references and all the homages and all the ties to PlayStation's history, I think Astrobot has potential to be more than that, and should break free from the stigma that people have towards Astrobot of that. I think uh still keep ties to it, because the PlayStation themed stages, we didn't even talk about that. Those were really really good. Keep stuff like that, um, but also give Astrobot's world a little bit more of its own identity, which it's done a very good job with its bosses. Just more like that. At some point in the game, you got to see a lot of the same enemies over and over again, or very simple variants of the same enemies over and over again. A little bit more enemy variety would have been really cool, but that's such a minor complaint to what is one of one of the best platformers. That's literally it.
I think I will say that in terms of the references, I know a lot of people because I saw those complaints too, or nostalgia bait, or some people was like, this is just a graveyard of all the Sony IPs that they've forgotten about, which I don't know if I can disagree with that one. Um, the one thing is that I think because all the bots are themed, or because they feel more like alive, and if you go and you collect them and you mess around with the gotcha machine, and so the the collecting incentives feel more appealing to me, or they feel more rewarding to me more than like the power moons in Odyssey or something, because it's like, okay, well now I get to go back to my astrobot planet and I get one more of these little goofballs kicking another one in the face, or jumping around, or looking at dirty magazines, or whatever the astrobots are doing. And so it's like I'm always excited to go back to see like what they're doing, and then it incentivizes me to collect the coins versus just collecting the coins because high score, because they can buy me a power up or something. It's cool to see like the collectibles, I guess, like pay off in some sort of factor versus just like progression, because I mean
Yeah.
you can collect all the astrobots just for progression, but I think so much of the appeal is like, okay, I just got this astrobot. If I go back and uh spend money on the gotcha, like what is his little like toy or theme to do? But I guess like to give the astrobots more identity, they could have just like the generic astrobot to get like a toy or something to play with as well.
Yeah.
But they feel more alive than a jiggy or a coin, or like so much other like collectathon type games, which I think is like what personally like brought me, like it made me feel more invested in a game like this, whereas normally I would just maybe look at something like this, put it in my backlog, and it's gonna sit there for like a couple years.
Yeah. And I do agree. It is kind of like a graveyard, but also there was a Kotaku article or something that said that it felt soulless, and no,
No,
I'm
definitely
gonna.
not
It is
soulless.
not soulless. It is not. Yes,
I will say I would love co-op. Co-op is probably my number one thing that I would love some co-op, even if it's just a couple one-off levels or if it's like a DLC they add later to just be able to play the game or a couple stages co-op. I think co-op would be really fun.
yeah, I think it'd be awesome. All right, Ivan, what you got? What you got for number two? I think we might have the
My
same one.
number two, the number two, I hope you already have on your desk. It's Persona 3 Reload.
Oh,
I have insane amount of hours in that game. I think I have like over 200. Um, just from the story and then the DLC. I agree with everything that you said earlier. I don't care about the complaints about there not being the female main character. It would have been nice, but you need to understand the developers on their end. Like, it is crazy how like disconnected people are from the studios,
yeah,
and so they go about like, they're basically a AAA studio. Like they like the game sold 1 million copies. They have the money. What do you mean they don't have the money? My guy, that's not how it works. Like some people can be really ignorant, so I don't care if the female main character isn't there. It would have been lovely. I think it would have been great. It would have solidified the debate of which of Persona 3 versions is better, Fez or Portable. I was tired of that debate for so long, and now I can just say Reload confidently because there's no reason to go to any of the old games except for either the PS2 era type gameplay or you want to experience the other route, which is perfectly valid. I want to play it one day as well, but on original hardware. I have my own PSP. I want to play it on the PSP, not on some shitty port on Steam. I adore this game. I think they. I also hate the sentiment. I'm going off on a rant before I go into the game, but I hate the sentiment that people are like, "Oh, like Persona 3 Real is trying too hard to be Persona 5," and I'm like, "What do you expect?" Like, of course they're gonna want to ante up like the entire aesthetics. It's not Persona 5ing it. It's just making it more modern. What are you expecting? And I will not doubt that there will once there's a Persona 4 remake, be like, man, this is not Persona 4. This is basically Persona 5 3 now. It's gonna be annoying, but this game is phenomenal. The graphics are amazing. I personally, I think I've grown to adore this voice cast more than the original ones. Um, and that is primarily because uh in the original, because I played the original like years ago, it was like there were obviously some very strong voice actors, but there were some really doo-doo ones that were not good. Fuka and Ken, not good. The new ones, amazing. I feel like there's personality, there's more content to each person now. Like the linked episodes that you get to have with some of your party members. Um, it's just all phenomenal. The amount of content they added, I thought was great. The quality of life was great. Um, and I really loved what they did with the gameplay. Um, I don't know if I've told you, Jesus, but I think I prefer Reload's gameplay over Royal, and that is because you know how much I'm an avid person on like playing on the hardest difficulties, at least for these games,
yeah,
and I think Royal makes the game too easy with all of its new mechanics. I love them. I think they're great. Showtimes, the technical pluses that you can do for baton passes, amazing. They're fun, but it really trivializes the game so easily. Like even through like I think the only time I actually felt like I really enjoyed like a challenge was from the Fifth Palace boss fight that everyone hates.
yeah,
Um, everyone hates it. I loved it because it was the first time the game actually provided me a challenge. Um, and Reload, it felt more balanced. Obviously, had to play around the theurgy mechanic, but it felt more balanced, and I love the character interactions a lot more. The models are so much better than Persona 5's PS3 models. Um, And then the DLC. The DLC, I wish it was more, mostly just from the voice acting side, but I still think it was phenomenal as well. It made the gameplay even more fun, in my opinion. I know people hate Tartarus, but I don't mind grinding. I enjoy it. But that is just because that is a type of I enjoy multiple versions of like turn-based RPGs. So long as the gameplay is like interesting. I just love all the characters. I also don't know if I've ever said this to you, Jesus, but Reload made me realize I prefer 3D rendered cutscenes than animated cutscenes.
Oh,
Because how they did it in Reload, I thought was phenomenal. Like that 3D rendered cutscene that plays at the end of the game, the one that happens before the final fight, the final boss, and some instances when they're confronted with conflict, sometimes they were originally animated in like the original, but they were 3D rendered. And I realized they just do 3D rendered animation so well.
they do. It's
And
I've seen people talk about how they don't like it, so it's really I think it's really interesting to hear the opposite from you.
I think it's the best that Atlas has done.
Okay.
Um yeah. So I've enjoyed it a lot more. I do wish there was more animated cutscenes, but I understand why not. But also 3D rendered cutscenes I thought were also a great substitute.
Okay.
If the whole game was like that, I'm perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Not every single thing has to be animated.
I agree with I think everything you said. It's just overall just a really really great game. It was at number 4, but that's just a testament to how good the top 3 were. And
It's just
for me,
yeah.
and
It's just solid, amazing game.
Yeah.
And phenomenal story. What else is there to say? Obviously, there's criticisms for it, and some of the things that are present in the old game still present kind of now. I know you know the social links.
yeah, yeah,
But I enjoyed them. I enjoyed them. I found them all fun. Um, I think the reason why I found them fun was for the fact that they were all fully voice acted. If they
yeah,
weren't, it'd be a slog.
yeah. Them being fully voice acted is a very good improvement. All right. Um, but just because Persona 3 was my number 4, Atlas is still on a roll because Metaphor is my number 2. Uh, Phenomenal game. Absolute all timer right here. This is so good, and I'm gonna be very very vague about what I say because I don't know, Brittany. I don't know if you're planning on playing it, but I know Russ, you do plan on playing it soon. So I'm not gonna talk too much about it. But this cast, amazing. One of their best one of the best casts. Everyone is really good. The story is great. This is probably the best way Atlas has ever done side quests during a calendar system.
Yes.
The side quests all feel very good. There's like a few fetch quests, but they're so short that they don't really matter to me. It is definitely the best way they've ever done side quests. I wish there were more main dungeons. That is probably my biggest and most minor complaint. I wish there was maybe one more main dungeon, maybe two, but at least one more main dungeon. Uh there I saw complaints about it. I can't remember where, but their complaint was actually something I really liked and that I did not agree with their take on it. There is a point a third of the way through, maybe a little past a third of the way, no, a little bit past, like 80% of the way, that they hit you with like 3 twists back to back to back, and it felt crazy. It felt insane. And the complaint that I saw was that they were trying to write too many stories and they didn't know which one to stick with, and they just I don't know. It was something along those lines, but I didn't agree with that. I think it was very well executed. and those three twists like just executed back to back were really good. And I think Ivan, we can talk about it privately later. I think you just got to the last major one.
What part you're talking about?
Yeah.
Because I just got to that part yesterday.
Okay.
That was actually insane.
Yeah.
And I'll try not to say much because,
Yeah.
spoilers, there's gonna be my number one.
Oh.
But I can't understand that opinion because they've made it clear. Like it showed through the story. Like it wasn't like they were pulling some ass pulls being like, oh, we don't know what we want to write. They knew what to write. They know what direction it's just people didn't expect where it was supposed to go. They expected it because they might be experienced with the Persona series, but that's not the case. This is not a Persona game. This is a new IP separate from it. I've seen lots of complaints about how it's not more Persona that they want it to be, and I'll talk about that more later. But in regards to you feeling like for like the main like wanting more main dungeons, I kind of understand that. And I wonder if I think it's most likely the fact that the calendar system's a lot shorter compared to any of the Persona games.
Yeah.
And so because of that, it's even reflected in the social links. They're
Yeah.
no longer 10.
Yeah.
It makes sense because we're like expecting that type of a long playthrough. And I actually did unclick your spoiler image that you sent, and I saw you have like 87 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea how the hell you beat that game so fast.
I beat every side quest. I don't know.
I'm at hour 96, and I just finished that twist.
I don't know. I beat every I did every side quest, I did every mini dungeon. I did the epilogue.
Yeah, so when I looked at that, I was like, "Oh my god, 87 hours!" I'm pretty sure that is a normal playthrough. I think it's about as long as Persona 4,
Yeah.
in terms of like playtime, that I've seen that people said. But I typically take longer on these Atlas games because I love exploring. I love talking to every single thing, trying to do everything that the game offers. And it's the same thing that I did in the Persona games. I'm pretty much like most of like a good like 20% is like in the Velvet Room / like archetype location.
Yeah.
Because I'm just always theory crafting. But I'll talk more about it later.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah. I don't really have much else to say about it. I'll let you talk about more later. Probably gonna wrapping up. We're at our number ones. Russ, what do you have? I think I might know what it is, but let's see.
I feel based on the last episode, you should know because I ranted about it for a while. But it's Balatro. This game was one of the first games in a while that I triple dipped on, and I'm debating quadruple dipping on it. So I bought it on PS5 because it had the physical, and the physical came with actual cards.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, it does.
There's 5 jokers and 5 aces. I did not open them yet because I'm not sure if I'm going to. I might. I'm not sure yet. But I'm mostly playing on Steam. I think I have 37 hours on Steam. I also play on mobile, and I don't know how many hours I have on that. And I also obviously have played on PlayStation 5 too. The game is obnoxiously addicting to the point where I can start a run and then it'll be like midnight. I'm like, okay, I can do one more. And then all of a sudden I look at the clock again and it's like 1:30. And it's just so easy to just say one more run, I'll try again, and usually ends up losing anyway. But it's like it's frustrating because you can lose so easily. I've been trying to beat it on Blue Stake, which is the third hardest, I think.
Oh,
And it's
okay.
blue. It might be second to last. No, third. It's blue, orange, then gold. I think it's the last 3. Each one adds a negative parameter to your run, and I've been trying to do this one for the last, I don't know, 3 weeks. And even though I lose every single time, and I'll even lose on the very first stake, it's very easy to lose, or the blind, I mean. I don't feel bad about it. It's still fun to play even when you lose. It's funny too, like there's one song in the game, but I do not get bored of it. And while I think it was Brittany mentioned humming the songs later, I do the same thing with Balatro, where I'll just think of the song and I'll play it in my head while I'm doing dishes or something. I feel like this game is going to still consume me even this year. I'm having a hard time playing other games because of it. Like every time I get on my computer to play something else, I'll play Balatro instead, and then that's all I play all day. It's not a game where it should be a game where you can just pick up and play it, but I can't because it usually ends up being a very long play session. If you look at my YouTube stream right now, like my suggestions, it's like 99% Balatro videos from different people. There's just so many different ways you can play. There's different combinations you can do. I usually pick the wrong ones because I usually lose. It's so funny to me too because like I'll watch some of these streamers play it and they can, from the very first blind, they know exactly what they're going to do, how to do it, and they are able to do it. And they're not using seeds or anything. I don't know how that they can plan so far ahead without knowing what they're going to get to be able to just win every time. But I have not had a game hit me this hard as a favorite game in a long time. And I think I'd consider Balatro to be in my top 5 of like all-time favorites now.
That's awesome. I love Balatro. It's so good. I got it on PS5. I will probably get it on Switch just so I can play it more conveniently, or maybe I'll play it on Steam. Oh, but then I feel like if I get it on Steam, I'm gonna run into the same issue as you, where I'm just gonna want to load up Balatro. So
Yep.
I'm a little scared to do that. But it is really it's phenomenal. It is incredibly like disgustingly addicting, like you said. It is. I will load it up. I cannot load it up too late before I go to bed because I will stay way past the time I'm supposed to go to bed. So and I do
The
not.
bad thing is I leave my Steam Deck next to my bed.
Oh.
So every once in a while I'll grab it right before I go to bed and I'm like, I should only play 1, but it usually turns into 10.
Yeah. It doesn't really matter when you lose. If you lose in the first blind, oh, let me just try another one. You lose it. You lose in the 7th blind. Oh, I was so close to 8. I can do one more. I can beat it this time. So it's so addicting. It's so good.
Yeah, I think 2 days ago I was up until like 2:30 trying to beat one.
Oh man. Hey, really good. Awesome. It's good to hear that. Brittany, what do you have as your number 1?
It's a tie between 2 games.
Okay.
It would be Mother 1 and 2, or Earthbound and Mother 3 and Earthbound. But yeah. So I hadn't played any of these up until last year. Jeremy, I didn't actually play it physically on the Super Nintendo. I played it on the Switch. We started it up randomly, and I'm gonna be honest, I haven't played a whole ton of games on Super Nintendo. I think my most played game on there is Super Tennis and Super Castlevania. But like just starting up Earthbound, it's just like dripping with like atmosphere and it's just different. Like just from immediate starting it up and playing and booting up the game and going through the intro, you're like this is so different from Final Fantasy or Chrono Trigger or all these other games from the time, and even stuff now like RPGs now. It's just very, very different. I had played Undertale prior to this, which I know Toby Fox, the creator, is a huge Earthbound fan, and that was like a huge inspiration for Undertale. And everybody still stands by, okay, Earthbound is so much better than Undertale and blah blah. And I was like, I don't know, I'll play it, I'll give it a shot. And yeah, I don't want to. Have you guys all played it?
Yes. too many times.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all about into Alzheimer's.
I'm gonna like tread. I'm gonna try to tread not spoilery territory, but it. I've never played a game that just matches the feeling of being a kid again. Like it's like nostalgia wrapped into a cartridge. And like just all the enemies are super creative, and even though I've seen some people describe the sprites as like ugly, but I think like all of the design choices are so intentional, and you just like similar to if Astrobot has you know so much like heart and love poured into its development. This is like love in like its truest form, I guess. Like this is love in game form. Like it should have never existed in the first place with how like again poorly it was received over here, let alone like how um poor it sold, and how the sequel or the prequel never made it over here and everything. This should have just never came out. And the fact that it came out and that so much love was put into the translation to make it so perfect for a Western audience is incredible for Mother 2. And yeah, it was I haven't had a game in a really long time either just like make me feel really sad that it's ending. And by the time I got to the end of Earthbound and we were gonna go combat Gygas, I was like, oh, it's done. Like there's no more Earthbound after like we do this part here. And yeah, it's just all of the fourth wall breaking, the clever jokes, the references to the states, but it's through the lens of like this Japanese man who has like been this really great copywriter, like writer of advertisements and writer of like clever slogans and stuff. Just everything about it is just so memorable, and all of the side characters just have like the goofiest dialogue, and um there's just moments that are just so crazy. Like there's a moment in the game where a character tells you, yeah, the only way to enter this next segment is you got to wait 3 minutes. And so if you don't hold still and you don't wait 3 minutes, you're not gonna be able to enter the next thing. Like it's just quite literal on the nose with that, and it's just um it's funny. It's funny and it's clever, and it just like it fills you with so many different emotions. Cause like I said, it's just like it brings you back to when you're a kid, and it's like playing a game through the eyes of a kid where you're using a baseball bat as a weapon and you're fighting snakes and you're fighting evil mushrooms and bad guys and everything, but there's also just like clever commentary and stuff wrapped into it. But yeah, Earthbound is just incredible. It was so incredible that we went back and played the NES game after, which one of my favorite NES games did not make the list just because uh NES games are just kind of rough for me to play. I think Jeremy played most of that one because there's a bit more grinding and stuff involved, more traditional RPG elements. But Earthbound, I would say you don't have to grind all that much. I would say in the beginning you do a bit. It's kind of hard initially, but yeah, when you get through all of the characters and stuff that you add to your party, kind of round it all out to where you don't have to grind too much, but there are like special items and different kinds of runs you can do with it. Um, the music is like just super. It just feels, everything about it feels so ahead of its time too. The storytelling and the dialogue and the on the nose humor and the kind of weird art style to it, again, people thought was so ugly for its time, but I mean there's so much weird art coming out now that everybody finds super appealing. And it just it feels like going back and playing it, it feels like a strangely modern game for like what is an ancient piece of hardware. It just really is something else. And leading into that, again, I'm combining them in two because honestly I can't pick between Earthbound and Mother 3, but Mother 3 somehow like takes the humor and then also just like punches you in the gut and sends you on like a feels trip. Um it's equally as good. It's way more linear and story focused, which is right up my alley. And it focuses around a mostly different set of characters, but it still has that like signature Earthbound creativity, and the soundtrack is great. And like, holy cow, for a Game Boy Advance game, does it just look beautiful. It came out, I think, a year after the DS's release. It was really, really late into the lifespan, so it makes sense that it didn't make it over here. But I of course played the fan translation online, which just is incredible. Like, I understand why it won't get. It probably will never get pushed over here. I understand why a localization would be tricky. There's just some nods and commentary to things that I don't think every person in a Western audience would necessarily like understand that it's like a critique or a commentary or something about it. But um yeah, it's great. The worlds in 3 that you like travel to, or the different places that you travel to, are really, really cool. Um I like the combat a lot more in 3. I think it feels more sped up. There's like a weird rhythm mechanic to it. So if you can time your actual attacks, like you get to do multiple attacks, which is really cool. Uh Again, the cast of side characters and things are so creative, and the story is like, it's somehow like sometimes just hard to follow, and then it just wraps up nicely. And again, you're just left there like, oh my gosh, like that's it. That's all of the Mother games. I just played them and now they're done. And I don't know, the my immediate reaction was like, man, I just want to replay all of these again. Like, I just want to go back and play it again. And again, it feels like being a kid without being a kid. And people, it's one of those weird pieces of media where you just feel like nostalgic for it, even though I never played this as a kid. Like, I never was exposed to it or anything, and it's just like, you know, I think it's kind of, maybe it's a stretch, but I would say like it is a perfect game. Like, there's so few complaints, and the complaints that I can think of for it are just so minor compared to how much it just gets right.
I'm gonna let Ivan talk
Okay.
for a little bit.
Two, I have a lot to say, but first off, that cartridge that you showed, is that official?
Yeah.
You got
I
an actual cartridge? It even shows like the number print on the back.
Yeah. I bought it from a game store. I work at one.
Oh, I want one so badly.
We
So
may have another one getting traded, and I don't know how much
how
it's gonna be
much?
though.
How much are
I
they?
don't know how much it's
How
gonna
much
be.
did you get yours?
I'll ask. I'll see if I can get my discount on it.
Sure, we'll see. But
I was about to say, I don't know if you noticed,
I know
I got my big Mr. Saturns in the back too.
I think they're great. Um, I mean, I have played it multiple times, both Earthbound and Mother 3. I've been wanting to get myself an official, like the actual complete unbox,
Mhm.
for so long, but I
It
don't
costs a
have
kidney.
I don't have an extra $2,000 to spend like that. I mean, I even saw like a retro game store have it for $350, and I'm like, damn! If I have the money technically now, but that's not a responsible thing to do, and I don't even have a Super Nintendo. Um, I have Mother 3. I have a cartridge. I played it official on the fan translation online, and then I bought myself a fan copy. That has like a fan print. Looks awesome. But I have played through those games, and I remember having them on my number 1 and 2 lists of like best games of all time for my own for the longest time. Jesus knows from our like 10-year friendship relationship that he hears me every single year where I'm like, Jesus, this is the year. Mother 3 will come into the States. Every single year has been like that.
I just
And
ah,
he's probably so tired of me saying that because I said it all the way back in high school.
I don't think it's ever happening.
I want it. I want nothing more. I mean, if even if they did like a Super Mario RPG style port of, I would love any new. I totally get like Mother fans being starved for like anything that like they could just be like, they could mention like Mr. Saturn or just say the word Saturn in a conference, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, this is it. This is it. It's
Yeah,
coming."
it's
Like,
like
it's just like, what an incredible series that just, again should have never been made. Like, it's been said in interviews and stuff that Itoy was so scared to present it to Miyamoto, and like he did anyways, and then between Iwata and Miyamoto, they just sort of made it happen even though it wasn't profitable, and they knew like it was going to be a struggle to release it. They liked this idea so much. The creator of freaking, Mario, and worked on Zelda, and basically the guy who greenlights everything for Nintendo, loved this financial failure so much that he and Iwata threw their weight behind it just to make it happen, like make a sequel happen to it. I feel like having two of the most legendary people in the gaming industry throw their weight behind something that they knew that everybody else was going to be like, why the hell are we throwing money in this? Like, just speaks volumes to how high quality this game is. And it just stands up so well. Like, I love Undertale. Undertale does not, it can't touch this. And I think Toby Fox like knows that, because Undertale, you can just see it as a direct like love letter. Undertale's probably in my top 20 games. This is up there, crazily enough, like with The Last of Us for me. Like, this is up there with The Last of Us 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2, which are like my two favorite games. And you can ask anybody, you can look at my social media. The Last of Us is like one of the things I talk about probably on a daily freaking basis. But like, I played this and I was just blown away, because I didn't think something would like hit me as hard as like playing Kingdom Hearts 2 for the first time, or The Last of Us for the first time. And this just like, again, it just like sent me back to being a kid. And then I played Mother 3, and then at the end I'm like sitting there on the couch crying, because like, one, because it's done, but two, because the game just like moved me. Like, I was just like, wow, like, and nothing about it is, it's not like a Last of Us, or like a darker movie style cry where it's like I'm crying because like a character necessarily died. You're just crying because it's just like such a raw expression of human emotion and game form, and you're just like, you can just, again, you can just feel all of the love and the heart put into this game. And again, with the creative team and the creative minds behind it just pushing it, you can just feel that it's like it's something like just truly special. And no matter if you, even if you hate RPGs, even if you hate pixelated graphics, like, I feel like anybody who would give it a chance would probably end up enjoying it.
Yeah, it's just for some people it'll be hard to go back to that retro game style, because I'm like, yeah, I can understand why you say the gameplay is dated, but um, the character designs are amazing. The fact that almost every single enemy has a unique battle theme of their own, amazing. I love it. Um, the character sprites and the animation sprites are so expressive in Mother 3. Um,
I love the
I love the
cutscenes.
stories. I love the
Well, the addition
cutscenes.
of
I love
cutscenes just like so, everything is
like
so good.
it's all so great. Like for the longest time, again, it was so hard for me to decide if I liked Earthbound or Mother 3 more. And I think there was a point where I said Mother 3 was better, but they were both equally as good. And they were on my number 1 and 2 for the longest time um, until I played the Persona series, and then when I played the Zero Escape series. Like, just because they've gotten down doesn't mean that they're like, just because they're like maybe like number 4 or 5 does not mean that they're lesser games. They're bangers of games. Um, and if y'all ever have like the Super Nintendo Classic, highly recommend it, even on an emulator. Go into either one of the games whenever you want, but my recommendation is go to Earthbound first and then Mother 3, because it'll make Mother 3 a better experience.
And if you want to be
I can
crazy,
go on.
I was gonna say, if you want to be crazy like me, do Earthbound. And if you're like, dang, I kind of want to save the best, like one of the best for last, then go play the original game, because it's not as good as the other two, and then go play Mother 3.
I have only seen a playthrough of the first game. It does not seem like a game I want to play myself.
It's
I was
good,
super happy when it
good
was
for an
announced.
NES game, but it's definitely like it's nowhere in the league of the other two.
I remember I broke down so much with emotions when it was announced for Wii U Virtual Console, because I was like, "Holy shit! They are aware that the Earthbound series exists."
And then they never brought Mother 3.
And then I never bought Mother 3.
Yeah, I think it exists.
Damn it, Reggie!
The
Technically,
localization exists. I'm like,
oh
It does
yeah,
exist.
Well, the original Earthbound localization had existed for a really long time because somebody leaked it online way back in the 90s. Like somebody found a cartridge for it, leaked it online, and then finally, yeah, Nintendo brought it to the Wii U Virtual Console. But then, yeah, radio silence on Mother 3.
I'm I'm like 90% sure there's one that exists. I think they were gonna do it, and they didn't. And I don't know. Maybe there's a button that they'll just press one day, and it'll upload on NSO Game Boy.
The
So
Switch 2
Yeah.
isn't selling quite as well as we want. Mother 3 port on Switch 2.
five more
Mother
units
3 Switch. You can join me on the journey to get Mother 3 here.
on
Every
Switch
single
2.
year we're gonna be disappointed.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, I can go on and on about that series. I love the series so much. There have been multiple times where I really want to replay the games, but I have to play other games or else I will replay Earthbound and Mother 3 multiple times.
That's how I feel. I would just replay like the Kingdom Hearts games and Mother and The Last of Us, and I could be happy the rest of my life.
I just
but...
keep replaying them. Ivan, we know you're number one.
Okay.
Let me
I'm
know
sorry,
what
I'm
else
gonna
you want to
go on a
say.
tangent about it. Metaphor. Show the game case. Oh my god. An
So good.
absolutely phenomenal game. I think Atlas will be my favorite game company. It is so good. Comparing this to Persona, I love this cast so much just for the fact that it's more mature. There are so many jokes in Persona, any of the Persona games. They have some jokes, and as I'm growing up, I'm just like, ugh. I guess they're really acting childish, and yes, they are teenagers, but like sometimes the humor, I'm just like, it's not really for me. Like it used to be back then, but then there'd be some times where I'm just like, I'm cringing. Like there's one moment in Royal where they were like, "Oh, you need to say it like this, not like this, but like this," and I was like, "Oh my god, please get me out of here!" But the cast here, I really love their dynamics. I wish there was more character interactions within the group. I would have loved to see even more group dynamics. But I love the cast so much. I love how mature they are. Um, the story, I love the story so much. It is so good, and I'm very close to beating the game. I'm at that final stretch where I am told it is now 31 days left. And I loved everything. I love all the twists. I love all the stuff that's going on. I think of the Atlas games, this has the best villain. I think it has the best villain. And the reason why is because of their presence in the game. When I think about 3, 4, and 5, the only one I can compare it to is 5. But even then, they're not really there. And yes, it makes sense thematically, but like there's just something about it where like you know who you're up against and it's clear. And the twist that they do here is not like Persona. I think you might know what I mean, Jesus, when I say it's like it's not one of those RPGs just like, oh, you're a child, step 1, go talk to some people, and then final step, kill God. It's not that. And I don't know. It like everything feels grounded, but everything feels so grandiose as well. Like the narrative, like I'm so happy that this game won Best Narrative. I know
Yeah.
people don't care about the Game Awards, but I think it 100% deserved Best Narrative. Best Art, I also think it 100% deserves as well. And then Best RPG, personally, I think it deserved it. I know some people like to argue about that, but it is absolute cinema. But in regards to what I was mentioning earlier about the 3D rendered cutscenes, I think I prefer Persona 3 Reloads over these. And I have a lot of criticisms about Metaphor. Like this is not a, it's not a. I think it's a really damn good start off if they continue making this a series, and if they make a sequel, it'll probably, like I'm envisioning it, it'll probably be better than all the Persona games. Like if they fixed up certain things, like the some parts of me doesn't feel super confident to say that this has the best like class system. It feels a bit uh clunky sometimes, especially towards the end game when you get someone super late and you feel like you're a little behind. They're very strong, by the way, but it feels like they're still behind. Um, what were some other things? It was I blanked out on it. The dungeons, like if they improve the dungeons, like I think this has the best side content as well, compared to the Persona games. I know people have complaints about the dungeons, and I think they're reasonable because it might seem repetitive, right? In regards to like how they look, you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about, right, Jesus?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Theming of it.
And so I understand that people's criticism. So if they make a sequel to this game, probably not a sequel, I don't know, but if they make another game that's in this universe kind of thing, I don't know if that makes sense. Like if it's in the same franchise, I feel like it can be better than any other game that Alice has done. Like if they improve from what Metaphor has, it can very much beat Persona. I don't think it personally at the moment. I think it beats Reload and Golden, but not Royal. Which I think is a reasonable take. I think most people say that as well.
Yeah, I won't comment on most of that purely because I beat the game, so I know things that you will find out later. So I will not comment on most of that.
So
But it's such a good game. It's such a good
phenomenal.
game.
I love
And
the characters. I love the cast. I love the gameplay. I didn't realize how much I enjoyed the Shin Megami Tensei press turn system. I really enjoy it because when I played through Persona, the one more system really does it makes the game really easy.
it does.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's super fun. It's what gets people into the series, right? And I think Persona has its place. Like, I think people should love the one more system. I enjoy it, but in terms of like, if someone asked me if it's difficult, not really. But Metaphor, I will be doing a Regicide playthrough. Maybe later this year. It would not be immediate, but I want to do it because I want to get the 100% trophy on it.
Do all the side quests. Do all the side quests before you fully decide that.
Well, at the moment, I don't have all the achievements unlocked. Like, there's one that's asking you to do 666,000 coins.
Have you gotten the? Have you been released to do quests yet, or are you still in the process of doing that?
I am currently going to each town to see what quests I can do for side quests.
Have you gotten a quest to revisit a tower?
I've heard about them. My friend has told me about them. There's 3 towers. So,
they're hard. They're hard. I could also just be. I could also just be
bad.
bad.
Difficulty because I saw that the final boss is difficulty 9 out of 10, and these towers are 9.5 out of 10. I know that they're difficult. I will be completing them. Like getting all the side quests in this playthrough, I don't think will be an issue for me.
Let me know when you go to them, because I want to talk to you about them. They're
yeah, my friend told me, hey, whenever you get to these towers, stop. He wants to see me play when I'm doing the towers, and I'm doing the final boss dungeon, and when I'm getting new mechanics.
Okay.
I'll just say royal mechanics.
I got everyone's.
Yeah.
So I was able to get.
I'm gonna have to figure out how to get those.
Seeds.
What happened?
The seeds. The XP seeds.
Yeah.
Just that's the best way. That's the only way you're gonna be able to.
Well, I'll figure it out. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But this game, absolute masterpiece. I think it's damn good game. Atlas is always improving, no matter what. I don't think Metaphor is clean from I don't think it's perfect away from criticisms. I think there's perfectly valid things that you can criticize about. Same with all the Persona games, but it does not make him any lesser. Please play the games, please.
Speaking of criticisms, for my number one, it's probably my hot take, for it being my number one, but purely because of how it just made me feel, and I could go on forever about it, but I'm probably the only one that has touched this game with the 10-foot pole in this VC, so I probably won't talk about it too much. But it is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This game just there's I don't even know where to begin with this game. I get it. It's the middle. It's the second part. It's the middle of the Final Fantasy VII original story. I've played Final Fantasy VII originally, so I know where it goes through. There are some frustrating things about this game. Yes, it can be bloated if you don't do everything at your pace. If you are doing everything at your pace, all the skipping the content that you want to, the side quest that you want to skip, and just playing the main game at your own pace, it will not feel that way. I promise anyone listening, it does not feel that way if you don't try to force yourself to do everything, if you don't actively feel like doing everything. The characters are phenomenal. They made Barrett an all-timer with this game. The entire cast in general is just improved. Ivan's talking about the villain in Metaphor. You know, talk about a villain, one of the most iconic villains of all time is Sephiroth, and he just keeps that aura up in Rebirth. And just the cutscenes that the things that they do that were not in the original, the things that were in the original that they just that are super weird, that they just up the ante up to 11 on. The Golden Saucer, which was such an iconic place in the original, and they made it so grand and so weird in Rebirth. The date that you were forced to go on with Aerith in the original, how they applied it to this game, where no, it's not you being forced to strong-armed into going into that date with her. Now it can be with her. It could also be with Tifa. It could also be with one of the guys, depending who your in-game friendship level is the highest with. There are things that dictate it throughout the story and the side quests. There are a few story changes that I really don't like. I guess I mean, the original's been out for like 30. No, it's been out for so I said 30 for so long. They when you go back to your hometown, and they, for lack of a better way to explain it, they bossing say everyone in the original game. That story beat is not in this game. And it kind of I wish it was, because it just added to Cloud's mental deterioration and Tifa's confusion and her memories being like it just added so much to that in the original, and you still get all of that in Rebirth, and they'll probably expand it even further in the third game, but that whole bossing say type thing doesn't exist, and which is a little annoying to me, but everything else is really good. Queen's Blood, the card game, I spent so much time on that. It's so good. The music is great. The side quests are a lot better. The world's just great, and there's just so many things that they do. The play that you have to do in the original game, again, everyone's a part of it. It's this whole like musical performance in Rebirth, and it's beautiful. So I won't go too much more into it, but it's great. It's my number one. It made me feel so good. But depending how I'm feeling, Astropot could be number one, or Metaphor could be number one.
Sorry, what I meant earlier was, of the Atlas games, I felt Luis is the best.
Yeah, no. But I mean, Luis is also just like he's a phenomenal villain in general. Like he's really really good. I think
I just wasn't sure if I misspoke. Me like, no, this is the best one of all time. I was like,
no
no.
you know you mentioned
There's lots of other great ones.
yeah no you mentioned he's the best Atlas villain, but I think you're right. In general, he's like one of the better ones, and Sephiroth like up there as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like Sephiroth. Who else are like iconic villains?
All
Ganondorf.
yeah, all the big ones. Um, the big twist in the game that everyone knows about, but I'm still tiptoeing around. In the original game, they were able to successfully still subvert expectations in Rebirth despite it. So, if anyone plans on playing it, please do. I think it's great.
I have still yet to
yeah, you need to play
Final
remake.
Fantasy VII remake.
Yeah, you need to play
The only
remake.
gameplay I've seen of the entire game is there's a side quest where you have to do something with a dog, and there's music that goes.
Yeah, it's so good. The soundtrack, oh man, the soundtrack is so good.
That's all I know. That's all I know about Final Fantasy.
That side quest, Barrett is talking about his daughter, about not wanting to see her grow up. It's so like there's so many small things. There's a small cutscene where Cloud is a little ill, so he has to take a seat. So he splits off the party. You're playing as Tifa and some of the other party members. You get to the top of a mining of a mine shaft. You fight something. I forgot exactly what it was, but you see a little baby bird, and the whole party is like looking at it. Their eyes are widened, and they just see the back of the bird's head, and the back of the bird's head is shaped exactly like Cloud's hair. So they named the bird Cloud Junior, and when Cloud shows up, they show him it, and it's just an interaction that does not need to be in the game. It does not it does not affect the story at all, but made me feel really good. And I'll leave it at that. Because I can talk about Rebirth for a while. But yeah, those were our top fives, and this is exactly why I wanted to make the Chao Garden Awards 2 episodes, because we could not do this for 4 hours straight. So we're gonna go ahead and probably do outros and then sign off there. Unless, is there anything else anyone wants mentioned? Any honorable mentions? Anything else pressing that anyone wanted to say before we sign off?
So I'll throw Stellar Blade out there as an honorable mention.
I need to play it.
I feel like I would have liked it a lot, but as soon as I started playing it, my dad messaged me and asked if I had gotten any new PS5 games. And I said I got Stellar Blade, and he's like, "Can I borrow that?" And I was like, "Yeah, all right."
Okay.
So I didn't have it for most of the year.
Okay, cool. I think my honorable mention would probably be Balatro. Balatro and Mario Party. All right. Then yeah, we're gonna go ahead and head off there. Going clockwise on the overlay. Russ, where can everyone find you at?
I'm mostly only active on Instagram anymore, at CryoWeasel.
Awesome. Brittany.
Yeah, I've been streaming again, so at Skrillerwolf on Twitch and at Skrillerwolf on Instagram and just about anything else.
Still continuing Pokemon?
No, I beat Pokemon and I've been streaming Silent Hill.
Oh, okay. Okay, nice. That's awesome. I'll have to check it out. Do you have a set schedule, or is it kind of random?
Usually just weekends. That's kind of the schedule. So I'll probably stream tomorrow. I meant to stream today, but I had to go to Costco and it was really packed.
Yeah, everyone's looking for. There's probably a reason why
there was
everyone.
not Blooming Waters there.
Yeah.
I did check. I didn't get in a fist fight with anybody, unfortunately. Sorry to disappoint.
No, oh my god, people. That's the whole other thing. Ivan, where can everyone find you at?
I will be in this lab space, hiding from everyone.
Hiding from
I
everyone.
will be back hopefully on the next time.
Yeah, next one. I'll figure out a topic for the next one, but I think it'll be fun. Bring back the lists again. Have you guys guess certain topics. We only had that for 2 episodes before we had to do the Game Awards and all this. So yeah, this was
We will
episode.
be back here for this whole year, playing more games, hopefully beating them.
Yeah, episode 12 is what this was. Next episode 13. I'll figure out what to do. Maybe there'll be a surprise mini direct or something that's focused on the Switch one. There's a lot of people talking about that right now, but we'll see. Yeah, episode 12. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.